So you might be seeing everywhere people recommending using pocket notebooks and saying that they are life-changing. And maybe you got inspired by them and also you find them to be very cute and you got one. But now you don't know what to do with it and it just sits empty. Well, I want to show you some different ways that you can use your pocket notebook for as someone who just recently started to appreciate them. I was a hater of pocket notebooks until very recently, but I love them now. So let me show you the things that I write in here now. Let's start with the first one, which I'll call Thoughts While Waiting, which is exactly what it sounds like. Anytime there's a pause in my day, like waiting for the kettle to boil or sitting in a cafe waiting for my coffee to arrive, I instantly want to reach for my phone and check some notifications or start scrolling. And most of the time, I do it, unfortunately. But when I don't, I always get some thoughts in my head, like ideas, random observations, or things I might want to do later. Like the moment I allow myself to do nothing for a bit, my brain starts connecting ideas and getting new ones. And a lot of my genuinely good ideas come from those empty moments, actually. The problem is they disappear as fast as they show up. If I don't put them down somewhere, I'll just forget about them forever, which is what happens to me all the time when I lay down to sleep at night and I get these amazing ideas and I think like, oh, they are so obvious, I'll remember them in the morning. But then in the morning I wake up and I'm like completely new person. I most of the time won't even remember that I had any ideas or thoughts. So now I write all of my night thoughts. And that's where the pocket notebook is perfect for. It's small and you can keep it with you and you can write down all of your thoughts and now they're safe. And if you're thinking, why wouldn't I just type it on my phone, which is exactly what I was thinking like up until a month ago. You can literally go back to my One Notebook System video. You can hear me saying all these horrible things to this poor notebook and that I just type on my phone when I'm outside and I get a thought. It's easier to type on my phone. That's what I say there. Well, people change, obviously. There's apparently a difference between typing on the phone and writing by hand on paper. The act of writing with a pen on paper is actually better for you. It is slower and it's a physical act, so it triggers deeper cognitive processing and helps with memory retention and helps you understand better what you're writing about. For me personally, I started getting more and more ideas and I wanted to write more and more the more I wrote on paper. How many times did I say more? Another thing I use it for constantly is for breaking tasks into smaller, tiny steps when my brain is refusing to start a task and the task feels too big. I give a whole page to one task and start by writing the tiniest first step. Then I do that step, cross it off, write the next one, and so on. And this helps me with overwhelm a lot. I've shown you this on my stress-free to-do list video where I write the task on the left and the sub-steps on the right, one step at a time. But sometimes it feels much better to have it on me in my little notebook, maybe on the go, to have that one big task and its sub-step that I'm currently supposed to be working on. And if you feel like you need to know all the steps beforehand because otherwise you would forget them, but still a big list of steps stresses you, then you can use a sticky note to cover the rest of the sub-steps and just leave the current one only. For me personally, I like to decide the next tiny step as I go. Deciding beforehand and committing to those sub-steps is what stresses me about those lists, actually. I would still know that they're under that sticky note, but I guess for some people it is something that doesn't stress them much and it works for them, so it is also an option. Next one is tiny life snapshots. So pocket notebooks are really good for capturing those small, ordinary moments from your life. Not really full diary entries, but just little fragments. Something funny you overheard or something you ate, how the weather felt, or a sentence from the book that you're reading, something you noticed while taking a walk. And when you look back through the notebook later, it becomes this nice record of ordinary life, which sounds boring, but it actually isn't. Like most of life is just ordinary moments, and I like recording them. Just like taking pictures, I guess. And with such a tiny notebook where there isn't much space, you don't really have the pressure of journaling something meaningful. Because sometimes a regular notebook feels like sit down, think properly, write something meaningful, fill the whole page, which it shouldn't be honestly, but I can't help but feel that way sometimes. But a pocket notebook is more like catching a thought before it's gone. So it's less like journaling, but more like external brain storage. And when I understood this, my thoughts on pocket notebooks changed for the positive. Like it became a less stressful way of writing pretty much. Like I just write, the air smells like rain, or I had really good coffee today. And that helps me and my mental health immensely. And the next one is tracking stuff. I like progress tracking, for example. Like I divide mostly hours of something I need to do in a week or a day into tiny boxes, which represent mostly only a couple of minutes each. And it makes all those huge tasks feel more doable. Like on this page, for example, I wanted to clean for 2 hours in total for this week, but I was just recovering from being sick and the apartment was an absolute mess. And when you start avoiding something, it just slowly gets harder and harder to start and actually do it. But after making this tracker, I would just set a timer for a couple of minutes, pick up some stuff laying around, and then cross those minutes on my tracker. Or later in the day, I would just clean the sink, which would take like 5 minutes, and then I would check off 5 minutes in my tracker. Like I didn't push myself to clean everything in one go, but the tracker allowed me to see that yeah, it's okay to do even 1 minute of something that you're trying to do. You don't have to have huge blocks of productivity. And it creates a much easier entry point to something that you are avoiding. Like when I read for 1 minute and track that, I want to read more because I want to see my tracker fill up. And a pocket notebook is a great place to do that because you can always keep it with you and take it out on the go whenever you need to track whatever you're doing. I really like visual systems and I like seeing proof that I actually did something. Examples of what I track can be like how much I read, my step count, or hours focused. To some people, this might seem silly or stupid, but not to me because the alternative is often me not doing the thing at all. Another thing you can track is expenses, which is actually extremely helpful if impulse spending is something you struggle with. Just writing purchases down can make you more aware of where your money is actually going. I think it would particularly work well with like weekly spending logs because of how small the notebook is. Another thing I've been tracking is my menstrual cycles and how I'm feeling on specific days of the cycle, because lately I've been trying to align my work and my productivity and my expectations of myself to where I am in my cycle. Our hormones and the things that are going on in our bodies are actually a huge part of how we feel and what we do every day. And ignoring it, which most of us do, including me, is a huge mistake, I think. And that's why I've been trying to be more mindful of it lately. So I've been tracking stuff about my menstrual cycle lately in my little notebook, and it's been very helpful. And I want to make a video on this very soon once I understand more of it and once I do more research on this, of course. So stay tuned for that. There's also many other things that you can track, like the series you're watching and which episode you're on, or like which movies you've watched, or water intake, your sleep, your energy levels. But it all depends on you and whatever you might feel like seeing tracked. Another one is lists, obviously. Can't forget lists. But what type of lists exactly? So first of all is a mini to-do list for the day to keep with you and refer to whenever you need it. That will be a good use if you are okay with to-do lists and don't get super stressed like I do. And I want to show you specifically how my partner does it because he only uses pocket notebooks. And what he does is at the beginning of the day, he lists the things he needs to do, and it mostly fits one page. And then he draws a line on the right and prioritizes the tasks, but not all of them. He prioritizes like 3 at a time because throughout the day things can change and priorities can change, so he keeps that flexibility and he checks them off as he goes, and the items he didn't do he moves to the next day. I don't do this personally, but I know he likes it and maybe some of you also might like it. Another list could be a done list, so you just list the things that you did instead of what you want to do in the day. And it's interestingly very motivational to see all the things that you've accomplished, even small and simple things. And my favorites. The last 3 things I've grouped together because they're the things that I talk about in my channel all the time. Are you even surprised that I'm about to mention interstitial journaling? I think many of you have been waiting for this moment. So in my sticky notes video, I've talked about 3 methods. So brain dumps, parking lot and interstitial journaling. And if you haven't seen that video, I will leave a link down below if you want to watch it. I do these methods on sticky notes sometimes, and it's great, but they're also great for a small pocket notebook. And these are what I use my notebook the most for. So how you do a brain dump is you sit down, you open your notebook, and you write down everything that might be in your head, all of it. And it really helps clear your head and reduce mental clutter. I think it is better for bigger notebooks actually, but small works too. We don't always have a million thoughts in our heads. And parking lot is when you are trying to focus on something and you keep getting distracting thoughts. So you keep your little notebook with you to park those thoughts when they come up. Keep them safe there so you can continue to focus on whatever the task is. And your brain will stop trying to hold on to those distracting thoughts. And interstitial journaling is when you write the timestamp, write what you just did, and a tiny little next step. And it's also great on a small notebook because with interstitial journaling, you're most of the time writing in between tasks throughout the day, right? So having a small notebook with you rather than a big spiral notebook makes much more sense, right? So it's great for little check-ins throughout the day. So for interstitial journaling, a small notebook is the one that makes the most sense, in my opinion. So I think the reason pocket notebooks finally made sense to me is because I finally stopped expecting them to work like the small version of a regular notebook. They are not for deep, organized writing. They are for catching things like thoughts, ideas, observations, feelings before they disappear. A tiny external brain, basically. And once I started using it that way, I got it. So yeah, let me know in the comments what goes in your pocket notebooks. I'm always curious how differently people use them. Thank you for watching as usual, and I'll see you next time. Bye!